Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Carp. I'm Steve Carpenter, Sports Information Director at Hutchinson Community College, and your host for this podcast. Since we've started these podcasts about a month ago, we've talked to Blue Dragon athletic personnel and Jayhawk conference staffers about how COVID-19 has affected them. This week, we're taking it national. Today, I am speaking with Ricky Webster, Director of Marketing and Communications with the NJCAA. Ricky, thanks for taking some time to talk with us.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me. Really appreciate you having me on, and it's been great watching listening to all your podcasts recently. You've had some great. Honor to join you.
I do have to mention that your critique of one of my baseball broadcasts last year during Region 6 still sticks in my mind when the Dragons were walking up in a bunt situation in the bottom of the ninth, and they end up the kid, instead of bunt, hit to walk-off home run. That text I still have right with me, close to my heart. So appreciate that.
Absolutely. No, always enjoy listening to your games, and one of the best around the country. It's always a treat.
Thank you. Well, yeah, Ricky and I probably, in terms of jobs, are probably as closely connected at our level, at the national level, with him being the coordinator of communications for the national office. So, of course, March, you and I are going a mile a minute, going at warp speed, and then all of a sudden, bang, there's nothing going on. How did you adjust to that?
I feel like we're going just as fast, Steve, trying to figure this whole thing out. But you're right, though. It was kind of an abrupt stop, and our team at the national office, it kind of all hit us at once, and we had to regroup and kind of, as as an SID, long term, that anything could happen in a given moment. And that's exactly what we had to do. So our staff, we got together, we coordinated a game plan as best we could. And, throughout these last month and a half, 2 months now, it's just been ever changing. But we've just had a great team, great communication between everybody at our level, from our board, from, our commissioners and region leadership around the country. It's all about communication when something like this goes on, and you can never plan for anything like this, obviously. But when you have a good team in place, and when you have people that are in line with what you're doing, and kind of makes life a little bit easier. But man, I sure do miss sports. I'll tell you that.
You bet. I don't think worldwide pandemic was listed in any of our worst case scenarios when you go through all the planning processes that we do. Obviously, we never did here. This is just so. It's just unknowing as fast as it changes, and when you got and that's just at our level. We're talking about, for you, taking care of better than 500 institutions across 45 states. That just had to be mind-boggling for what you guys had to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an overall game plan of what to do, and how to make sure everybody around the country is kind of on the same page. Again, it comes down to communication, and that's one thing I really pride myself in as part of my job is trying our best to communicate with everybody. Just like you said, there's so much unknown right now, and that's the tough part about this. We could have a great game plan and be really proud of what we got coming up, and all of a sudden in a given moment it just changes. We're hoping this thing kind of slows down now, and we can start to regroup a little bit more. But just having that game plan and communicating as much as possible with everybody to make sure everybody's on the same page has been really essential for us.
Right. The obvious just slaps everybody in the face. No games. Obviously the Division I, Division II basketball championships were canceled. All the spring championships were canceled, but the spring sports were in season. They were playing. They were probably roughly about a third of their way through, and several baseball, softball teams got roughly 20 to maybe even 30 games in, depending on where they were around the country. Indoor track had just completed its championship season, and we were getting ready for outdoor. But something came out last week about how to handle the stats for those teams. Just to go back a bit further, for everybody who doesn't know, all spring sport athletes for 2020 will get that year of eligibility back. Well, soon after that decision, I got a text from you asking about stats. So let's talk about where the stats for the spring 2020 season or how they're going to be handled. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you and I are both baseball guys through and through, Steve. So obviously stats are deep and close to our hearts, that's for sure. That's one thing that we really wanted to, kind of hammer home of what are we going to do with the stats? We'll let our compliance team, our staff over there handle the eligibility side of it. But, what are we doing for those student athletes that work so hard to even get, 10 games in this year? We talked closely with the NCAA, Jennifer Rogers and her team over there. We had a lot of communication about what they were doing. And, the NCAA level was a little unique because a lot of their winter championships, they didn't even get going. Fortunately for us, we had a majority of them done and all, wrapped up by early March, other than the Division I and II basketball championships. But, we announced those selection shows. We announced the teams that had made it. So we knew the fields. We just didn't get to play the games, unfortunately. So in terms of, championship appearances, tournament appearances, we credited all those teams that had already been announced and selected. Again, those kids, the student athletes, the coaches, they worked so hard to get that. And, we want them in our record books to make sure that even though they didn't play the game, they earned a spot at the national tournament. So that was kind of, the big part for the winter side of things. Moving on to spring, especially with the outdoor sports, it just varies so much around this country from, you got teams up in the Northeast and New England that, they might not even started their year yet. But then you've got, teams in Florida, Arizona, Texas, Kansas, those teams have made spring trips and they're getting 30 games in. So how did we sit there and say, these kids, they work so hard, but we're not going to allow their stats to be in the record books? And we noted, quite a bit of teams. I mean, we look at a team like Butler right down in your region, Steve, that scored 30 runs in a game. And I think that was a school record for them. Mm-hmm. And it was for us to say, that's a heck of a game right there, and we're not going to put it in record books, and we're not going to allow that, even at the institution level. So our team really worked together, and we looked through numbers, we looked through record books, and we determined that this was the right decision to keep those stats as is. We see a lot of kids that may come back for a third year. We didn't think there were a lot of records that were in jeopardy if students had come back for a third year. So that was kind of a part that we saw as well. But again, just even single season records, individual game records, those are really important to teams and student athletes, and they deserve to have that honor and that recognition. So we've decided to keep stats as is for all spring sports, again, just rewarding the hard work of our student athletes.
You bet. And we had our softball team, the Blue Dragon softball team, had a couple of records in the balance with that decision. So it's something I wholeheartedly agree with, and I commend you guys on that decision. You said earlier, you and I are old baseball guys, so stats are near and dear to us. And this is a conversation I think we've had on multiple occasions about the accuracy of doing stats and the importance of having accurate stats. From the time you've taken over at the national office, I think we've gotten better at it on the nationwide level, but we're still got a long way to go before our stats, at least for where you and I can sit, is 100% accurate. So what do you think we need to do on the national level to continue to increase and get toward that goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a junior college baseball player. It's tough to go back and find stats from those days. There really wasn't that much, and it was onto the coach. If they didn't get them in, there's really no records of that, and that's kind of unfortunate for kids that have played those years. And I think having people like yourself in the profession it makes it so much better, so much easier at the national level to know that we have reliable sources around the country. Reliable sports information directors that take pride in it, that take pride in the sport, the stats side of it. I was an SID at a community college in Iowa for a number of years, and I took a pride in that, making sure our students, their numbers are accurate. And, at the end of the day, that's what the four-year coaches are looking at. And if we're not doing our jobs of, showing the statistics for the student athletes, then they're not getting the looks that they deserve. And that's unfortunate. I think we have made great strides in the last few years. As you may know, we've just partnered with Presto Sports, and we extended our contracts with them. And they're taking a lot of pride into the Presto Sports stat system that the NJCAA utilizes. Again, I think taking this job at the national level, I've been able to see, the varying levels of record-keeping statistics around the country. And I think there is, a lot of progress being made, especially, at the Division III level of the NJCAA. Sometimes you have coaches there that are also the SID, and they do maintenance work, they do the fields, they might do compliance as well, so they're jack of all trades. But I think we've made great strides, and if we can continue to emphasize the importance of stats and how important they are for student athletes, I think that's our main goal. At the national level, take that this summer to put together some training videos, some training exercises of how simple it is to do stats. I think that's a discussion that some people might not understand. Doing the stats side of it is very, very simple. But again, it's very important for the students to get those looks to go to the next level. But again, just kind of emphasizing the importance of them is kind of our main goal.
Yeah, you mentioned somebody who wears a lot of hats. That's you. I mean, not only do you have to handle all the press, the handling of the media, the stats, the website, and everything, but marketing is a whole another facet of your job position in the national office. So tell us about all the hats you have to wear on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I commend our president and CEO, Dr. Parker. When I started, we had a staff of about 2 people in our office handling all this stuff. Exponentially, we've got a video department now. We've got some very integral members of our team: Tristan Spears, Mackenzie Garrison, Sydney Blue, Will Tyner. Very, very important pieces to our organization for marketing purposes. It's kind of a goal of our organization is to continue to be in the national spotlight and even the international spotlight. We have so many student athletes from around the world attending our colleges, and honestly, that's the most exciting part of what I do on a day-to-day basis, to showcase our student athletes. The success stories of how students ended up at a rural school out in a foreign country. Those things really motivate me in this job, and really spark. Like I said, I was a sports information director at the institution level for a number of years, but now working on a bigger scope, you just see those stories at such a bigger scale, and I really enjoy it on a day-to-day basis. But again, with our team in place, the staff that we have, we've been able to do some remarkable things in terms of social media. That's kind of one thing that really drives our organization, getting out there in the national spotlight and, showing people that there are other options at the community college level. You might see those student athletes that, they're on the fence of whether they want to continue to play college sports or not. And, they might go to a trade school and end up at a community college, and all of a sudden they're getting scholarship offers to a 4-year school because they took that shot at a junior college. Our motto of opportunity start here, that's really, really true for us. And that's one thing that we drive home as well. We're all about opportunities, and to be able to showcase those opportunities of our student athletes and our coaches and our staff. We've just got tremendous people all around the country doing remarkable things at the community college level, and it's on us, it's on our staff to make sure we're telling those stories and getting all that information out there. It's a lot of heavy lifting, but like I said, we've got a tremendous team from top to bottom. We've increased in size rapidly over the last couple of years, and that's definitely helped our goals and objectives come into the one. I think we've done some tremendous things, and we continue to move forward every day. And now we're regrouping and rethinking on how to do our content strategy because we're all about sports, and now we don't have those sports going on. So again, it comes down to being creative and having good content strategies, and that's what our team does really well. They keep that moving forward, and you got to shift gears with a situation like this, but we've done some great things because of the people we have on staff.
And it's very appreciated at our level. Well, one of the things during this whole pandemic is you've gotten to work a lot from home, but with that in mind, you got a little extra work at home. You got newborn child, believe in early April. So tell us how all that's going.
Yeah, it's, Mia, our daughter, she was born on April 1st. It's our first one for my wife and I, and, we were beyond excited. And we were looking forward to this time of our lives, and we didn't expect the pandemic to be going on, but I'll tell you what, going from paternity leave to working at home during a quarantine has been a nice transition. I love working. I love being around the team in our office and face to face, but it has been nice to be home, to help out when needed. My wife, she's a teacher, so she's been off as well. But it's just been good being at home, and having a little one's it's a lot of work, but we couldn't be more excited, and we're just so happy to have a new addition to our family.
Well, as a fam or a father of four, enjoy it because it does go fast. Now I've got two of them that are 30 or older, and it's like, where did the time go? So definitely enjoy it, Ricky.
Absolutely.
So, well, I appreciate you taking some time with us. I know it's a crazy time, and we're all working toward the goal of getting back onto the field, so you and I can start doing our jobs the way we were trained to do it. So, thanks so much, Ricky, for taking some time to speak with us.
Steve, really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate all you do for not only Hutchinson and Kansas and Region 6, but the national level as well. And, congratulations on your service award that you were honored with a couple weeks ago. And we were looking forward to honoring you at our convention. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but congratulations again. And, appreciate all the work you put in for us.
Thanks so much, Ricky. That was Ricky Webster, Director of Marketing and Communications for the NJCAA, and that will wrap up another episode of Conversations with Carp. We'll talk to you again soon. So long, everybody.